Hello everyone, welcome back to Porkies Collectibles. This is going to be our second episode on how to invest in Pokemon. I talked about it previously in our first video. This new series is going to be starting on how to invest in Pokemon in terms of the Pokemon themselves from each generation. Before I start, I want to say that please visit our card shop, porkiescardshop.com, and also check out our Instagram at Porkies Collectibles for any additional details. Also, make sure to check our other videos as well. We have opened a lot of Celebrations ETB boxes. Check those out. We have some really nice pulls, so don't miss out on those as well. So let's jump right into it. How to invest in Pokemon. Last time I talked about our acronym SCRAPPY, scarcity, condition, the rarity, artwork, popularity, playability, and year. So those are the criteria that I use to choose Pokemon that I want to collect or invest in. Of course, everyone chooses collect their favorite Pokemon or favorite artwork. I guess artwork is in there, but it doesn't matter what you choose as long as you're happy with it. It can be a Caterpie, it can be anything. Personally, I don't really care for Charizards that much, even though it's probably the most popular, the most expensive card there is. But if you are interested in investing in Pokemon, follow these rules, and you'll be able to invest in Pokemon and enjoy it as well. So let's dive into the first Pokemon we're going to be choosing. Last time I talked about it, we're going to be choosing our Base Set Charizards. So okay, here you go, some samples. I'm going to go over all the different Base Set Charizards, the reprints, the variations of different Base Set Charizards. Now, I want to say Charizard is the first Pokemon in our list of many Pokemon we're going to talk about, but we're focused on Gen 1 first, since it is Generation 1, and we're going to break them up into different tiers. Now, I'm going to break them up into Tier 1, 2, and 3. Charizard is going to be in Tier 1 because of obvious reasons of its popularity and also the scarcity it is when it comes in terms of obtaining the card. So Charizard is number 4 out of 151. This card is the most sought after card from Base Set. Base Set is the original printed set for the English version that started with the Wizards of the Coast in 1999. There was 102 cards in the set. Charizard was the most sought after card. We will talk about the other starters in following videos, later episodes. And those, we're going to go over the different variations of each one as well. Like I said, we're going to focus on the Base Set Charizard. The next video after this, I will focus more on the different Charizards from different generations and different sets. Because Charizard is such an important Pokemon and such an important part of the history of Pokemon, I thought it'd be best to break it up into two different videos. So let's talk about Charizard. What are the different types of Charizard? Now, the original base set had 3 different variations of Charizard. Now, we're going to go over them. We have the first edition base set Shadowless Charizard. We have the Shadowless Charizard. What's the difference between these two? It just comes down to that number 1 stamp. This means it's the first limited run of the base set, meaning they only ran it once and then they stopped printing it. This is the first it came out with. Then this was the awkward transitional stage. Charizard, Shadowless Charizard. Now you're asking yourself, what is a Shadowless Charizard? Now, that's why we have the Unlimited Charizard. This is the 3rd printing of the Charizard. Let me show you it right there. Now you're wondering, what's the difference? Well, you compare these two, you can see a big difference in it. Usually it's the shadowing around the border of the picture. This one has, you see the darker reds, more the shadows, not shadows, but yeah, more of the shadows, so you can the card pops more, so it's a little bit more vibrant. Hence why this one's called Shadowless, because it doesn't have the shadows. Now, some things to note when you want to differentiate between Shadowless and first edition Shadowless compared to the base set Unlimited Charizard is first the HP. The HP from the first edition and the Shadowless are thinner. Okay? Obviously, there's no first edition right here. The card sometimes, if you look at the picture, the red is redder than the red that's in the picture of the Unlimited. And another thing you want to point out, or I want to point out, sorry, is you see Fire Spin right there? It's a lot smaller text, and the 100 is a lot thinner than the unlimited version if I put it side to side. See how the Fire Spin is a lot bigger? Same as the 100. So that's one thing to look into. Well, I guess the 100s are almost the same. But if you look at it, there's some variations. You see how the 1 and 0 are kind of apart? This one is not. The first printings, they have some issues. And later on, they correct it. This can be prevalent in other first edition base set cards. Usually, like I believe Kakuna or Metapod, what happens is they'll put the HP in front of the number. So it'll be HP 70, where it's been corrected where all of them from now on to the latest set is the numbers in front of the HP. Okay? Now, rarity, if you want to say rarity, it technically comes down to, so for the acronym, scarcity. Scarcity is very important here. Charizard first edition is probably the most scarce. This is the one that is most sought after. This is the one that everyone likes to flaunt on their Instagram. They want to show that they got a Psa 10, a Beckett 10. Recently, I believe there was a Beckett 10. I believe, yeah, it was. It's ridiculous, but they got 3 10s and 1 9.5. I believe the 9.5 was for the centering for that card. But the most sought after card. Now, there are another variation of the first edition Base Set Charizard, which is right over here. Let me try to get so there's no shadow. All right. The stamp itself has a variation. This is a first edition thick stamp. Thick stamp meaning that the one itself is thicker than this one here. You see how that one's thinner? So that's a variation for collectors as well. Personally, I like the thick stamp one. I believe it looks nicer, and also because I believe it's rarer to have this one compared to the thin stamp one. So that also comes into play when I chose my Charizards. When I purchased this Charizard, I had an option to choose between a BGS, which is back at a different grading company, BGS 9, versus this PSA 8.5. And what it really came down to for me was I like PSA more. Sometimes their grading is not as accurate, but this one had over the other one was a thin stamp, whereas this one was a thick stamp, and I chose this one over the other one. Okay, so those are the variations of the Base Set Charizard from the original printing. Now there is a European version or a UK version, which is printed 2000. So another thing you might want to look at is these down here will say printed in 1995, 98, 96, 98, 99. And then the unlimited will say just 95, 96, and 98. Won't say the 99. So if you're looking to buy a Shadowless or a first edition Shadowless, make sure to also check down there. If it has the 99, is correct. If it doesn't have 99, then it's probably a fake card. Well, it is a fake card. There is no card out there that shows without the 99 for those cards. And then the UK version will, I believe, say 2000 down there. Okay, so those are the variations of the base sets. Now, we're talking about base set. We're going to talk about the scarcity of it, the popularity, condition. Graded cards are very important because they hold up in the market better. They're easier for people to understand the card without understanding to how to look at the card sometimes in terms of the condition of the card. People will invest in a higher grade card than a lower grade card. Also, they'll invest in a card that has been graded versus one that has not been graded, for obvious reasons. Just because a professional grader has checked it to authenticate it and also as well give it a grade worthy of what it is. Now that being said, you're thinking the first card we're going to go into is the first edition Base Set Charizard, Shadowless Base Set Charizard. The pop for that is 3,339 for PSA. Of those 3,339 cards, there is a PSA 10 of only 123. Now that might have changed, but last time I checked, that's how many there were. Now, how many PSA 9s there's 685. That's a big difference. If you were to go even further and go into the 8s, there'll be a lot more. Now, the price for them, upgrade of a PSA 10 can vary anywhere between 100,000 to about $500,000, depending on the card condition itself. So in the previous video, I did explain that buy the card, not the grade. So some of the older certificates or the older graded cards that were printed that were graded first, they were a little bit more lenient. They didn't really know what Pokemon was. Back then, they didn't care as much. Now with the new boom and everything, how these cards are reaching record prices, they're very careful to grade Charizards. So when you go on eBay or Heritage or any of those auction sites, you'll see that you'll need to see the front and back very well, and 2 PSA 10 Charizards are not going to be the same. The last sold was for $399K, and I've seen one sell for a little bit over $100K, and that card is not a PSA 10. If you were to get it regraded, it would not pull that. So hence why the pricing is different. So make sure to really pay attention to that when you're buying a graded card. Check the back. In the previous video, I explained how they grade it. So make sure to check the back, the front, the corners, the surface. Everything needs to be checked. Make sure that you ask for more photos if they don't show in the back. Who knows? It could be a very bad copy that somehow got squeaked through PSA or a different grading company, where they looked at it, didn't really care, had a great day, nice coffee, and they're like, you know what, that's a 10. So make sure to pay attention to that. Now, the next card I want to talk about right here is going to be the Shadowless Charizard. I might want to pick up the pace on this just because I don't want to run the video too long. This is Shadowless Charizard. Now, you're talking about how many copies are in PSA. Now, Shadowless has a pop of 5,193. PSA 10 of only 55. Now, this is a card I would highly invest in a PSA 10 if you can get one, just because it's actually lower pop than the first edition Base Set Charizard. Now, that demands a higher price. Not many sold since there's only 55 of them, but the last couple sold was in February 28th of 2021 was for a little bit over $75,000, and then in May 24th of 2021 it sold for $48,000. So you're looking anywhere between $50,000 to $60,000 for a PSA 10 copy, and then a PSA 9 there's a pop of 685. PSA 9, you're looking at about the average being $4,000 to $5,000, so about $4,500. Last sold was September 28th of 2021 for $4,200. Now, let's jump into our next and most iconic card, the one that everyone had at their schoolyard. Everyone knows about this one right here, the Base Set Unlimited Charizard. Everyone has a billion copies of these. They're all played, they're all worn. Every time someone said, do you have a Charizard? Like, yes, I have a Charizard. How much is it worth? Oh, it must be worth so much money. Of course, it's not compared to the rest of them, but they think it is because they see an auction and see, wow, this is worth $1 million. It's not. I'll tell you why it's not. There's a pop report of 27,130 of these in PSA. Graded cards. How many 10s you say? 443. Now, that's not actually that high, and the PSA 10 still commands a high price, but there's a big price difference between the first edition, the Shadowless, and the Unlimited. A PSA 10 last sold for a little bit over $11,000 in, July 28th, 2021. They're looking around $10,000 to $20,000 for a PSA 10 copy of Unlimited. PSA 9 has a pop of 5,911. That's a huge difference. The Shadowless only had 685 PSA 9s. So that is crazy. That's that amount. Now you're thinking, oh, the PSA 9 might be worth a good amount of money. It is. It's worth a lot of money to me as well. But a PSA 10 last sold and recently, October 1st, for $1,250. So you're looking about an average a little bit over $1,000. That is a big difference compared to the PSA 9 for Shadowless, which is $4,500. Not to mention a PSA 9 of the first edition Shadowless card. So from those, we have Sorry, let me readjust. Now we're talking about the base set. Let's talk about the reprints. Oh, before we talk about the reprints, also cards that are signed or from the person that created the artwork, the Arita. I have one. It's not very, crazy or anything, but I have Ash's voice actor for one of these. And these signed cards can have some value as well, depending on the collector. Some collectors like collecting every type of Charizard out there. So if you see a nice copy of one of these for a relatively good price, I recommend picking up one of these as well. I don't think it adds too much value to it, but if you have a signed one from Arita, that one does add a good amount of value to it as well. All right, that brings us up to our next card here. You'll see it's another Charizard. What's the difference between these ones, this one and the previous ones? Well, there is a Base Set 2. That is the logo for Base Set 2. This Base Set 2 is a culmination of the previous sets before that. Base, Jungle, Fossil, and I think Team Rocket. Maybe Team Rocket, that's for Legendary Collections. But anyways, this is a reprint Charizard. Reprints, homage to the original. It is considered a vintage card because it is Wizards of the Coast era, but is not worth as much as the original base set, just because it's a reprint. Now, to put that in perspective, a Base Set 2, the popularity of the two compared to the previous one will be reflected on the pop report. So the pop report for PSA has for a little bit under 5,000, 4,962 cards graded. Of those, there's only PSA 10 of 56. 56. That means if you can find a copy, it's worth it. Because I believe no one was really that interested in a reprint of a Charizard, where back then you could just buy a Base Set Charizard. So these things weren't really sought after, so not many were graded, and conditions of those cards probably weren't so many out there that are in very good condition right now. PSA 9s were 834, last sold in a PSA 10 in September 8th of 2020, I believe. $7,500 for a reprint that's stronger than the actual Base Set Charizard Unlimited. And then PSA 9. Now, PSA 9 is not that high of a price. We're looking last sold at 405 in September 27th of 2021. The average we're looking at is actually around $800. There's also one that sold in September 18th for around $800, $873. So it really depends. I think this card is underrated and a definite buy for people that are looking to collect Charizards, because it's the same Charizard. It's just also vintage. Not that many are graded for a 10, so if you have a very pristine copy and you want to grade it, I say go for it. If you can get a 10, you're looking at around $7,000 for it. So let's go on to our next set here. Legendary Collections. Legendary Collections have 3 cards in it. We got the Holographic, which is also reprint. There is the logo for Legendary Collections right there. The Reverse Fireworks Holographic right there. This is the most sought after Charizard from this set. Very underrated at the time. People didn't really like that card because they thought it was fake or looked funny. When I first saw it, I thought this is a card I have to have. I had 6 copies. I sold like 4 of them. I kept the ones that I deemed were the highest quality. Gonna get them graded. Once PSA, I can get them graded again. And then here's the theme deck one, the non-holographic, just rare card of it. All right, so these 3 cards come from the Legendary Collection set, which is also a reprint, just like Base Set 2. That has a combination of Base Set, Jungle, Fossil, and Team Rocket as well. So those choose the best cards from those sets and mash it into this set, the Legendary Collections. And then do a reverse for a foil, which Legendary Collections is the first set to have a reverse holographic. That's why you see this kind of rainbow pattern. No other set has this rainbow pattern. I'm surprised they didn't actually choose one of these for the celebrations. I would have really loved to see one of those rainbow arts. Well, I wouldn't say rainbow. The rainbow is the new kind of art form, but the fireworks artwork for some kind of reprint. Not necessarily Charizard. Could have been Dark Dragonite. That would have been a really good card in my opinion if they chose that for celebrations. I mean, I hope that's how you guys feel too. I think that would have been great. So anyways, regular ones, there's a pop of 866 only. This set was not very popular for most people. Now it's skyrocketed. The booster box is crazy amount of money. So 866 in PSA 10. And then for PSA 9, pop of 866 total. PSA 10 of only 13 of them. PSA 9 of 235. Last sold for I believe a PSA 10 was 12,600. It's kind of hard to say. PSA 9 last sold for anywhere between $800 to $900, but it always depends. But not many people really went for the regular foil. They went for the reverse. This one in a PSA 10 is super scarce, to the point where I believe certain people, some of the higher end YouTubers and collectors will pay a premium for that card. Now the reverse foil, there's a population of 1,120. PSA 10 of 75. That's still really low. Not as low as that 13, which I wish I had a copy of, but it's still extremely low, below 100 copies out there in the world. And there's a population of 325 for a PSA 9. Now, for the reverse, PSA 10 sold in, July 29th for $15,200. You're looking at about $15,000 for a PSA 10 copy. You're looking around a little bit under $4,000 for a PSA 9 copy. Non-holographic one, there's a population of 633. 62 of them are PSA 10, 177 PSA 9s. PSA 10 last sold for $1,247 in July 29th and the average is around $1,250. PSA 9 was in October for $260. Average is about $300. It's a non-holographic. Not very exciting, so for obvious reasons, it's not that expensive. All right, we're at 22 minutes, so let's power through this real quick. So we already talked about these three here. Next one we're going to talk about is the Stormfront Secret Rare Charizard. This is the only one that looks slightly different than the rest of them. Same artwork, same kind of concept, but the artwork is just slightly different. This one is a beautiful card. I recommend picking up this card if you can. This one will be worth a good amount in the future. Now for the Stormfront, I forgot to mention certain things. For Base Set 2, the set came out in 2000. Base Set was in 1999. Legendary Collections came out in 2002. And then Stormfront right here, the card that I just showed you, came out in 2008. Diamond and Pearl Stormfront, I believe. It is PSA 10 of 698 copies out there altogether. Of those, you only have 45 PSA 10s. And then 318 PSA 9s. PSA 10 sold for $11,066 in January 28th of this year. And then we're looking at the average around 10,000. And then PSA 9, we have one that sold for, August for 690, February of this year for 1,200. So it's kind of all over the place, but during the hype, obviously saw a lot higher numbers, but now it's kind of gone down a little. The average is around $800. I believe it's going to dip in price more, and once it dips, I recommend buying this because Diamond and Pearl, just like any other set, if no longer in print, they're harder to come by, and it's the secret rare of the set. So why wouldn't you want a secret rare Charizard? There are more recent Charizards. There's so many secret rares, but everyone hunts after them because they think it's going to be worth so much money later on that there's just a flood of them out there. So this card right here, I recommend that you buy. Okay? All right, let's move on. These are the cards that everyone knows about. Oh, this set here. All right, so let me make sure I can remember where it's at. All right, 2016, 20th anniversary for Pokemon. This is going to be the XY Evolution set right here. Holographic, reverse holographic. There is the pre-release, which I don't have because then I wasn't really collecting Pokemon cards when doing different things at the time. And there's a pre-release staff. Pre-release staff is expensive. I could have picked that one up back then for like $1,000, $700-$800. Should have picked it up, but at that time I had different priorities, so I didn't. All right, so it came out in 2016. The regular is just graded to hell. It's so many out there. People thought, oh my gosh, especially the last year, just the boom in Pokemon. Everyone thought this is a card that if they got, it's worth thousands of dollars. Yeah, it's worth thousands of dollars if you get a PSA 10. And just to let you know how many people thought that they can pull a 10 and how hard it is to pull this 10, the pop report for the Evolutions Charizard, the regular rare, is 15,675. There's almost 16,000 copies graded. Of those, there's only 308 PSA 10s. PSA 9s, almost 10,000 copies. That's why the price is so high, because it's so hard to pull just because of how the quality they are printed. A lot of these cards you're thinking, oh, the reason why they're not so great and graded is because people played with them. Yes, of course. But you got to think of factory defects. Also, poor quality printing, poor quality cutting, things like miscut edges, off center, those all come into factor. So people that I think once they pull that on YouTube, they're like, oh, this card's worth so much money, it's worth $10,000. It's not worth that much money, unless it's perfect, which 308 out of 15,675, you do the math. The odds are against you. So let's talk about PSA 10s, okay? PSA 10, you're looking at about $3,000 for a PSA 10. It's been a downward trend. If it dips below 1,000, I recommend buying one, just because the PSA 10 is so hard to get. It's a good investment. I would not invest in a PSA 9 unless you just love this Charizard and you want to collect a bunch of them. Because the PSA 9, they're going for about $140. That is the average. They're all over the place. I believe on the hype or the highest point in October of last year, the PSA 9 was selling for $1,250. Now, in October, $152. So you see why I don't recommend investing in this card unless it's a PSA 10. All right, reverse. There is a population. Let's go. This is the reverse holographic. Reverse holographic has a population of 7,880 of them. PSA 10, 1,000 of them. It's a little bit easier to grade this one for obvious reasons, just because. Actually, I don't know the obvious reason for this. Usually, reverses are harder to grade, but there's 1,000 of them. PSA 9, there's almost 5,000 of them. Overgraded, another hype train. PSA 10, the last sold was in September, end of September, and two of them for $425 and $680. So the average is around $500, which I think for a PSA 10, that's not a bad price. So, but if you were going to look at the original pricing, previous last October, this thing sold for almost $3,000. So I believe there's still room for this to drop. So I would hold off on buying until it drops closer to the $200, $300 range. I believe it will drop that low. There's so many copies out there. You can buy raw copies that are mint. They got packed fresh. That are like $60, $70. Do not pay for it. Buy it yourself. Pay the $20 to get it graded. There you go. You can even get a chance at a 10, which is going to be worth way more money. So the 10 is $500. Oh, here we go. I made a mistake. PSA 9. PSA 9 averages $100. So just go buy some raw copies. If you like graded, just buy a bunch of PSA 9s. But do not invest in them. They are not worth the money. They're all over the place. In January, $650. In 2018, was $30. Now they're at $103, and they're a downward trend. So Evolutions Charizard, unless it's a PSA 10 regular holographic, I don't recommend investing in it. Please stay away from it. There's other Charizards to invest, and I'm going to explain to you the other Charizards in the next video. So let's just talk about the ones I don't have. The pre-release has a population of 968. It has a giant pre-release on the picture itself. So right here, it would say pre-release, okay? And there will be a pre-release staff, and staff will be on that side. Pre-release has 963 graded. Of those, there are 95 PSA 10s, and PSA 9s are about 561. Last sold for $3,450 in August. May sold for $6,500. You're looking around $4,000 to $5,000 for a PSA 10. PSA 9, consistently looking around $600 right now. Average about $550 to $600. Pre-release staff. This is the one you want to invest in if you're looking at evolutions. Pre-release staff was only given out to staff during the pre-release of this set. And then some of them got sold out, some people kept it. There's a population of only 425 total graded. Of those, there's only 38 10s. There's 248 9s. PSA 10, there's 2 sold that I can find, both in April, one in April 12th, one in April 22nd, one for $17,000, one for $15,000. So you're looking around $15,000. If you can get one that's $10,000, I recommend buying that right there. I would take out money just to buy that card, just because there's so few of them, and to get a PSA 10 is very important, because this is one of those cards that have very limited print. So later on, if you wanted to get a copy, you won't be able to get a copy because they're going to be flooded with just the regulars. Okay, PSA 9, there's 1,607 of them. Let's see, last sold for $2,000. Also recommend buying a PSA 9 just because it's limited prints, and a PSA 9 we're looking at December was almost $9,000. Now they're $2,000, so it might drop down to 1,000 something. If so, I recommend buying it. If you're investing in the long run, later on it's going to jump in value just because there's only so few, and if people lose them or play with them, they're no longer going to be in good condition. All right. Last couple of things to talk about. I know it's been a long video, and hopefully you guys have been enjoying the video and got good information out of it. This is another card I would recommend investing in just because it's the original. This is the Japanese, Pokemon comes from Japan. This is the CP6 holographic 20th anniversary Charizard. I got this one for a very good price. So if you see any PSA 10s, go out there and buy them. I forgot the exact price I paid for this one was, but maybe a couple $100 or something. But this is a beautiful card. I recommend you buy this card. This one is the original for this, just like how the Japanese for the original base set. So those are certain cards you want to look out for. And finally, the one card. If you look at my other videos, make sure to check out my other videos. But this is the card I could not pull from the Celebration set. I opened 5 ETB boxes. Got a buttload of Pikachus, but could not pull the Charizard. Okay? So this is from the newest set, Celebrations. I pulled 3 Blastoise and a Venusaur. I could not pull this Charizard. This Charizard right now, I do not recommend buying it. Don't buy it right now. Hold off. Celebration just came out. There's going to be more waves, more reprints of this coming out. But right now, last I checked on eBay, they're going for $100 to $180. So about $150 average, which I think is ridiculous. That's almost the same price as a slightly played Base Set Charizard. So don't go on the hype. Do not pay money for it. Just go out there, buy the packs. You might pull it. I couldn't pull it just because I have horrible luck, but not worth $100-something. Wait until it dips. I think it's going to dip in the 50s, maybe even lower. So just hold off for now. Later on, I'm going to see how much it flooded markets with those, and those are going to be dropping like crazy. Graded 10s and 9s are going to be cheap. Hold off on it. Only things you would ever pay a higher premium for are cards that are no longer in print. Do not pay for anything that's still in print that just came out. Don't get in the hype train. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Hope it was informative. I talked a lot. Hopefully I didn't miss anything. If I did, I'm sorry about that. Mention it down below in the comments so I can address it. Next video, we're going to be talking about all the other Charizards. Skyridge, we're going to talk about Blaine's Charizard, there's so many Charizards out there. I'm going to choose the ones I deem are worth collecting, ones that are overhyped, undervalued. We're going to go through all of them, and then you guys can decide what you guys think are Charizards to collect. So Charizard is tier 1. Once we finish the next video, we'll move on to our next Pokemon. Surprise, surprise, you guys probably figure out what the next Pokemon from Gen 1 that I'm going to talk about. But hopefully you like this series, and if you have any questions or comments or anything else, please let me know. Once again, my name is Jason from Porkies Collectibles. See you all next time. Thank you. Bye.